Beginning our show, and the results are in. Earlier this month, the USDA released the 2017 Ag Census, a report that comes out every 5 years and provides valuable insights into economics, demographics, and what's happening on U.S. farms and ranches. According to the census, there are 46,332 farms in Nebraska, which is a 7% decrease from the 2012 census. That's in line with a national decline of 3.2% in the number of farms. Statewide, the number of livestock operations, farmland acres, and net income per farm is also lower this time around. USDA Deputy Regional Director Nick Streff joined me on the show to take an even deeper dive into the numbers.
Well, for the census, it's the one time every 5 years that USDA NASS conducts county-level data for nearly every data point we can think of. So when you think of our normal USDA programs, we're collecting corn data, soybean data every year, but the census gives us the county-level data for popcorn, for the number of hog farms in a certain county. And it's the first time you can look at all the counties across across the country and compare it.
And you were telling me that you were around when the 2012 census was conducted. What were some key figures that stood out to you this time around versus last time?
Well, some of the key figures that stood out this time around is when we're looking at the farm numbers. Farm numbers have been going down, and looking at of all the categories, nearly every category is going down except for the 2,000 plus acre farms. Those have gone up. So that's an area where you can look at supporting different types of farms, with farm programs. So that was one thing that did stand out to me.
And Nick, what were some of the things that were asked in this census that were new this time around?
A question that is new this time around was how we asked the operator question. In the 2012 census, we only asked about 3 operators, but based on feedback from data users of our statistics, they asked if we could expand that. So this time around, we asked about 4 operators. So we came up with more operators this time around, so it's not as comparable, but it's showing that there's a lot more people involved in the decision makings of the farms. For producers, sole proprietors are still our number one for Nebraska, a 1 operator, 1 farm, but we do know that there are larger family farms, that there's a lot of people involved in that decision-making process, and it also gave us a better chance to pick up, the younger producers that are involved in the farms, female producers, and the whole works from there.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Demographics, what were some of the key takeaways here?
Some of the key takeaways there is one demographic we picked up, which was a new question, was the number of military operators in the census. Nebraska had around 6,700 farms that have someone military service. Also, we picked up more female producers, but that's also a result of that question expanding that question. So just showing that there's a more diverse background there in Nebraska and across the country.
All right, so hogs, beef, dairy, what were some of the main points with this?
For hogs, beef, and dairy, Nebraska is big in all those things, especially the hogs and the beef side of things. And it's showing that Nebraska is still a strong contributor in those areas. Cumming County is the number 6 for cattle on feed inventory. They were big last census. They're big this time around. On the hog side of things, it can really show us, how dispersed hogs are. We can see how they're spread across our state, whether in the eastern side or in the western side of the state, which is what the census really helps show us at the county level.
And Nebraska number 4 in ag sales. When you look at it state by state, that seems like a pretty good accomplishment.
Yes, Nebraska is a strong player. And also you can see from the census, we can get a good look at those irrigated acres, which is a big positive for Nebraska on the production side of things. Nebraska is the number 1 popcorn producing state. So that's a data point that we normally don't get to publish, but we can see it in the census.
Any other Nebraska-specific data that you'd like to mention?
Well, something else I'd like to mention is that Nebraska has 81% of the farms have internet access compared to just 75% at the U.S. level. So that's good to show that, our farms are adopting technology, looking for it, and they have the internet access that helps them get that technology.
And finally, I'm sure people have questions. How is the data collected, and how is the accuracy of these numbers determined? What's the process there?
Well, the process for this is we do a large list building effort to build up the mail list for our census. For this time around, we mailed out roughly 59,000 questionnaires, knowing that not all of them are farms, but we just want to make sure our list is as complete as it can be. And then from there, we did 2 mailouts. We did a phone follow-up. We did a postcard follow-up. We allowed producers to respond online, multiple ways for people to respond to us. And then we spend about the first 6 months of 2018 going through the data, making sure it's correct, calling producers back if it's not, just trying to make sure the data can be as accurate as possible to make sure we're putting out a good product. Because once again, this is the county level data we're going to have for the next 5 years for decision makers to look at to base their decisions on.